Hello and welcome to the All About You show with OMG and Friends, where we talk about the things that you think about and some things you don't. I am your host, OMG, along with my co-host,
Silky Smooth, Daydream,
and a return studio guest that we absolutely adore,
Dwight Brandon.
Family, as always, we'd like to thank you for joining us today, and we ask that you please join in on the conversation, where your thoughts, your comments, and your opinions help drive the conversation. You know, for the first segment of our show, we want to acknowledge that from September 15th through October 15th, it is National Hispanic Heritage Month. Woo-hoo. And naturally, that is an effort to celebrate and honor the culture, the history, the contributions, and achievements of Hispanic Americans as well as Latinos. So they're like us. They bring flavor. They bring, that's our people. Yes. All of us still the same, one and the same. Didn't you have something to say? Or do you want to say something first?
I'll let Silky take it.
Well, thank you very much. I grew up, many of you know, I grew up in the New England states in the Northeast. And mi gente es puertorriqueña, which means what I'm saying is my people are Puerto Rican. Puerto Ricans, Cubans, and Dominicans, but mostly Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. And this is how I grew up. Ate the food, pernil, and some of the other delicious foods, and the music, and the culture, and
it's
the
rich.
language
Very
was
rich.
so rich.
Mm-hmm.
And I remembered when I had gone off to school and lived in other places, I wasn't around them. I couldn't tell you how much I longed for them. I just love the language, so I decided to go ahead and study it. So estoy 88% de fluida en español. No te emociones.
Okay, we appreciate that.
Todavía
Thank
tengo
you.
que estudiar.
So the translation was she's 82% proficient in the Spanish language, but she still has some practice and some work to do.
Yeah, I said don't get excited. I still have to study.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
But I think that goes for all of us.
Yeah.
Whether we grew up speaking Spanish or not, because it depends on your region,
Yeah.
and it depends on which Hispanic people you're speaking of. You're talking about Puerto Ricans, a very different dialect, different verbiage than what my people speak. I'm Mexican,
Right.
but even my Mexican Spanish is very improper and Tex-Mex compared to my family in Mexico. So, you know, very different. And then even in Mexico itself, because of the regions, you have different words, different, like the foods, everything is different. So when people here in Texas, oh, enchiladas, you know, we're just like, that's gross. We don't know what that is, you know. But you know, my family's from San Luis Potosí, and in that region, you have different. The enchiladas are different, and even within there, depending upon which city and which town you're from, you have a different version.
that's kind
also,
of like Black community.
Absolutely,
different little pockets of.
yeah, absolutely, and you know, you also have Afro Latinos, so those from the
Oh,
islands,
yes,
the Dominicans, Puerto Ricans,
Puerto Ricans,
you have Panamanians, you have
Panamanians.
you know,
Hondurans.
Absolutely. So it's
They're
we're all very diverse.
They're all our people.
All shades, absolutely. So we're all mixed in, and even kind of going towards, it veers off a little bit, but I think it's worth a mention is that recently Texas, as far as culinary goes, we were finally recognized as having our own region of foods.
Oh, okay.
And that, yes, and I say that because, you know, you have barbecue and you have Texas barbecue. You have, even within Tex-Mex or even within Latin foods, cuisines here in Texas, it's very different. Right. You know, it might be more Central American. It might be more, where they'll throw in some, you know, soul mix, where we'll throw that in, you know, because you have to. I mean, if you're in the South, I mean, you have to have some oxtails. Yes. You have to love your green.
Yes,
you know, and we all have our own version of mac and cheese.
Yes.
Right.
So we have to throw that in there. So yeah, I think that's worth the mention, and I'm very proud of that. I'm Texas born and raised, Houston born and raised, so you know, everything's big here in Texas. We're very proud of our state. So absolutely. I was very excited to hear about that.
Yeah.
So again, the dates are September 15th through October 15th. Dwight, you want to say anything about
No,
this particular month?
Well, my relationships with all people, my last teaching position was at DD Middle School. Off Broadway.
Okay.
So for those in the
Yes.
Houston,
I was
we
gonna
look at
say,
our
I don't
engineer's
even- I don't
face.
even know,
Yeah. So
right?
here in Houston, for those who are familiar with the area, DD Middle School is predominantly a Hispanic. I'm not even gonna say it's a Hispanic school. Okay. It's full of Latinos, but the area it sits in is in the southeast part of Houston. So those of you who are familiar with Broadway, Telephone, Hobby Airport, Golf Gate area,
Okay.
all of that.
So mad love for Dee Dee Middle School, shout out. Love the area, but again, some of the things that we'll discuss tonight that are strategically placed in our communities
Absolutely.
to keep a Dee Dee as a Dee Dee
Yes.
Right.
and a Milby as a Milby.
Yes.
Mhm.
As all of us come together as brown people, we can do better.
The University of Houston downtown is also a mostly Hispanic school.
Yes.
Our president is Dr. Juan Munoz. Oh, and he's so eloquent. His Spanish is so beautiful, and he's so well dressed, and he wears custom suits and everything. And he's so polished and poised, and so we celebrate, this culture every day, like Black History every day, Latino culture every day,
Absolutely.
because it's a part of our school.
And a last comment, I love watching, not that I love emergencies, but watching the press conferences and having representation from a Latino female who's not ashamed to first discuss and translate. I'll translate in English, but I need to speak to my people first.
Absolutely. See,
And it's a beautiful thing.
This was my reason years ago when I came to this town. My concern was that Houston didn't really have a black-owned radio station. And you've heard me say this before. I'm kind of concerned that if something were to happen, we don't have things in our own little area that we can go to, because anything we get from anybody else is going to be censored.
Yes.
And so I like when people, again, address your own first.
Yes.
That's your culture.
Yes.
That's your
Right.
people.
Yes.
And see, we can't do that. Anyway, yeah.
Anyway, yes.
I can appreciate
Yes.
that. But guys, again, encourage you to celebrate the Hispanic American and Latino culture. I think I shall with a margarita when I go home. Maybe
Yes.
Oh, very nice to
Okay.
know. But I think on that tip, guys, we'll be right back. We've got to go to break. Yeah, this one, yeah, but my hair's like doing.
Let me.
I have a what's name at home. I don't know if y'all want me to tell you that. I have a tower. Yeah, but that,
Share your opinion by calling 713-789-0096. Stay tuned. Reading a good book is intimate self-indulgence. Hi, this is Silky Smooth with all.
Why do we place that sometime and cut it off? Can we just take it out?
No, I'm cutting off the speakers. Facebook,
Okay.
pull it from Facebook.
Because we don't.
Facebook doesn't allow third party.
Oh, so
And you'll never see it. That's why we turn the speaker off. And you do not own your content on Facebook.
Anytime, we like it. We like it.
The circulation, did I help you with
I got a little bit. Yeah, that's better than.
When? I gotta check my resume. I've been retired 8 years. No, let's see, 5, 6 years. What?
And I'm a tutor at
My last name is
Sharpstown High
Jackson.
School, which is a mostly Latino school.
Yeah.
Sharpstown, yeah.
Okay, I remember Sharpstown when I came in town in the 80s.
He was there for a
Sharpstown.
very
It used to be
Mall and all of that used to be the spot.
White,
Really? Okay, so we're gonna talk about white
Better
better
off. Better off neighborhoods used to be. On Channel 13, Alona Carson, one of their anchors.
I remember her.
She's from Sharpstown.
I remember her. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I was trying to tell you
I
the
teach
Rage
over
Against the
there.
Machine, they're Hispanic, I know.
tutor over there.
That's right.
The
The
people
intro.
sing the song.
The intro.
Okay.
The Latino
Yeah.
band.
Are you gonna play
They
that one?
wanna-
You can play that one sometime?
Yeah, I play it at the house. They're one of the first in that area to make such a big move.
And we are back. You're listening to the All About You show with OMG and Friends. I am your host, OMG, along with my co-host and studio guest.
Silky Smooth.
Daydream.
And Dwight Brandon.
Okay, now guys, we encourage you to again celebrate and honor from September 15th through October 15th, the National Hispanic Heritage Month. Now, we're going to get to the main topic of our show, and we're going to discuss, and we've called this show White Bread, because at one point, I think that was all we had, wasn't it? Brown bread wasn't around, so white bread is it. So,
Right.
but basically, and that was reserved for the wealthy at some point. Did you guys know that? White bread was
I did not know that.
I
it
didn't
was
know
reserved,
that.
It was reserved for wealthy. And brown people, brown bread didn't come until after 1898 or something like that, and that was for the poor.
Oh, wheat, the whole wheat bread?
Oh, because it wasn't processed and
Refined.
enriched.
Okay, but
type,
see,
I
what
guess.
again, I wanted to, let's talk about white supremacy. We can get into all this.
Yes.
Let's just get going. But let me give you the definition first, guys. White supremacy is the racist belief that white people are superior to people of other races and therefore should be dominant over them. Now, the term is also typically used to describe a political ideology that perpetuates and maintains the social, political, historical, or institutional domination by white people, as evidenced by historical and contemporary social political structures such as the Atlantic slave trade, Jim Crow laws in the United States, and the set of white Australia policies from the 1890s until the mid-1970s, and apartheid in South Africa. Different forms of white supremacy put forth different conceptions of who is considered white, and different groups of white supremacists identify various racial and cultural groups as their primary enemy. You know, it didn't dawn on me until one day I had a friend from Jamaica come into my office and we were talking, and some kind of way he was telling me he was watching Animals of the Serengeti or something like that. And I guess he was dealing with just the natural, the natural way animals deal with each other. And basically, and through that conversation, we ended up with his relating that and tying it to the black man being the natural enemy of the white man. So, and now we have a president who allows this type of behavior, conversation to proliferate until we have shootings and we have
He encourages, not even just allows, he
Yes,
encourages it.
encourages
Yeah,
it.
encourages it,
So
yeah.
we need to pay attention, but I want you guys' opinions before I go into something else.
I feel like it all boils down to the supreme race needing to call themselves a supreme race because of just how inferior and weak that they feel. So, the louder you are, the more attention you draw, and they try to say, how can I put it? You're speaking and you're making all this noise because you have nothing else to back it up with. So you're hoping to distract and keep people at a distance with the show, as opposed to the sustenance.
Okay.
What if there was a school of thought foundationally that through Darwinism and other scientific rationale that is applied to evolution, that if there's a scientific application, then what you just stated is not true.
Okay.
So I am truly, and again, not me, but I am truly, as a black man, I have a philosophy of superiority. But through Darwin and that philosophy, it gives you a mentality that they are scientifically superior.
Yeah, Darwinism.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
so if by evolution, if we did not ascend through that continuum of evolution to a level of superiority, then they are ordainedly, by scientific reasoning, superior. So that's a foundational thought. Now the other side is that if you move away from that train and you start dealing with patriotism and nationalism, then you start hearing these buzzwords that we are ordainedly, innately qualified to rule
They believe that.
in the best interest of the population that does not have the intellect nor the economic strength to be a contributing factor or member in this process. So, there are two foundational thoughts that are there that are rooted in everything that is built in what they deliver, what they believe, and what they foundationally justify as our Savior.
Yeah, well, again, white bread is synonymous again with, like I said, all that we had at one point, and the fact that we have been programmed to believe over the years that white is right, and we were all taught that,
Right.
and so we automatically just would believe that whatever they said was right on, spot on, and half the time it is not. I have a video that I wanted to talk about briefly, and showing you an excerpt of that is basically dealing with Ricky Smiley talking about a CNN show that aired, I think, August 9th or something like that. And he said it frightened him because that they were so spot on in talking about white supremacy and what that would mean for us if Trump were to win again or lose again. And if he loses, it's going to be something going down. And if he wins, it's going to be some mess going down. But if he loses, it will perpetuate the fear and the anger in the white race in being the minority. And wanting to exercise their rights through militia, through vigilante, through all these things to try to take back who they are. But simultaneously, they also call themselves as victims. Like y'all, black people took the job. Y'all got,
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Look at all these immigrants.
Yeah,
They're
right,
taking
right.
over.
So,
Right.
I don't know what their stance is, but there is an ideology there.
Right. So based on what you said about the Darwinism and all that, and I learned about that same thing and how they're saying no, innately we should be superior to you, but yet so that's how they justify invading this country and murdering the people that were already here, and still they'll say, well, we're helping them, we're making their lives better. Murder them, and then the rest of them force them into the four corners of the United States, which is barren land, nothing, so that they could just die. And of course they're not going to have any economic strain. And not only that, the Native American couldn't withstand the white man's diseases, because the idea was to enslave them, but they kept dying.
Now let's go again.
Okay.
I'm going to foundationally raise some thoughts. But if in fact we are in the role of missionary, a white supremacist that foundationally believes that they have an ordained right role and responsibility to take care of those that are lesser than me. So if we are in a position of being lesser than, not a full man, 3/4, okay,
Or Native American savages with tails.
But
Right.
if though we comply, get with the program, do what we are taught.
Isn't that what the song said that
I
we just
think it
played?
was. I
Yeah.
think it was. Great lyrics.
Do what I tell you to do.
Do what I tell you to
That's
do.
right.
I mean, pick. So if you complied, then there would not have been the extermination of so many Native Americans if they would have just gone with the program.
But
They don't, yeah.
So the program is let me dominate
you.
Let me
run
rule you.
Yeah,
but
right.
really, I'm your savior. I'm not really ruling
It's
you.
playing a duplicitous
I'm saving
role. Yes,
you.
doing a duplicitous
So I mean,
role.
as a philosophy, think because they are. I truly believe that they honestly think they are doing what is best
I don't believe that.
for.
I believe there's
There's
malice
a
there,
They have taken
philosophy.
natural hate
Right.
there.
There's a philosophy that is it hatred or is it really a
fear.
is it
I
a
said
fear or is
I
it
said,
really?
It's fear.
I think it's envy to a good
Because they're
degree.
outnumbered.
That's what I
Okay,
just said,
they're
because they are the
outnumbered. If you
minority
put
now,
all
and
the
that's where-
minorities
and that's where the
together,
fear
just
is
here
coming
in
out.
the States,
Right,
okay,
they
not
definitely-
even in the entire world, just here in the States,
Okay.
okay,
so-
you're
yes.
outnumbered.
Yes.
That's
Okay, so we're
Plain and
outnumbered.
clearly,
That's
but
what I
we've
said.
allowed
That's
ourselves.
their biggest fear.
Okay, we've allowed ourselves, and they know that. They know that they're outnumbered. They know that when it comes down to physically
Yes.
touching everybody,
Yes.
they are completely outnumbered.
And this-
but they've programmed us, and we've
Right.
allowed ourselves to be enslaved and held down because, well, don't rock the boat. Do what you're told
Comply.
to do. It's disrespectful.
It
It's
is.
this. It's that.
Assimilation.
Right.
We don't
Correct.
want to cause any problems.
Yeah,
What?
you know, we're just-
that sort of
we're,
thing.
you know,
Yeah.
especially I believe with minorities, it's still very much of it takes a village, and so we don't want to single anybody out. We want kumbaya. We want to hold each other's hands. We want to all be able to get along and be able to bring each other up.
Right.
That's just what I think is natural within us.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
that's just what's natural
That is
within
the energy
us.
that we give. But when
Right.
you're in a position that you have always been serving, And so when you look at your cultural identity of moving from,
But we weren't always servants.
okay, yes,
We were not.
We were not. Yes.
We were kings
We were
and
not.
queens.
Thank you. Okay, but
You know,
where-
in our
which
own
book-
societies,
which
the
book?
Aztecs, the Mayans, you know, we
Which book in the public education system teaches us that we were kings? and
None.
None's going to tell you that.
None.
That's what the problem is. We've been consistently
none, because
programmed.
even Texas history is completely wrong. You know, Hispanic heritage, September 15th, that marks a date that several Hispanic countries and my people's country, Mexico, we were liberated. We won our freedom from the French. That's a big, huge celebration. But other than throwing up the lights at night on City Hall, other than things that you saw on Facebook, other than a couple of tweets or some posts on social media, where's the big celebration here?
So
Like there is for Cinco de
Yes,
Mayo,
that's
which was
right.
one little
What?
bitty town, one
Yes.
itty bitty little thing that was won. But everybody in the U.S., you know,
Celebrates.
Taco Tuesday, margaritas,
His
you know,
story,
the
his
Taco
story.
Bell dog.
his story,
Absolutely.
his story.
Absolutely.
His story.
But we've allowed that.
Yes.
You know, we don't say anything. Our thing is, okay, well, let these white people, let these gringos, let these bolillos celebrate that. That's cool. Let them do that because they're still grabbing onto our culture. You know, and our culture is still relevant to them no matter how watered down it is, no matter how whitewashed it is. And we continue to allow ourselves to think, well, it's okay, it's still good enough. No, it's not good enough. And,
So
and
we have more numbers.
We have more.
We have the economic strength.
Absolutely.
We have the acumen, intellect
Absolutely.
from kingdoms that
Yes.
have been banished and lied about.
Correct.
But we are here allowing a savior to keep us enslaved.
You know, Trump, you know, and I've read some things on him and his white supremacy and how he's, you know, felt entitled, as his family always has as well. And it says basically that that with one immediate exception, Trump's predecessors made their way to high office through the passive powers of whiteness. That bloody heirloom which cannot assure mastery of all events but can conjure up a tailspin for most of them. Land theft and human plunder cleared the grounds for Trump's forefathers and barred others from it. Once upon the field, these men became soldiers, statesmen, and scholars, held court in Paris, presided at Princeton, advanced into the wilderness, and then into the White House. And again, he feels quite entitled with this.
And proud.
Yeah, well, you know, like
Yeah.
it says here, they've triumphed and they've barred everybody else from being able to do that, but it has enabled him to have a position of hierarchy that controls other people.
Did you hear recently one of his camp members state that it is beginning to resemble the Kennedy family?
What?
No, I
In
had
what
not heard
respect?
that.
No, tell me that. No, I didn't hear
Yes.
Elaborate on that.
So you had Bobby, John.
that. Ted.
As a family, they were designed and
Ted.
created to be a political force.
Oh, they were
Tammy
reared for that.
Wall.
Yes.
That's right. The political machine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
that's true.
so Trump's name and his family has been mentioned strategically in the same vein.
And you know, Trump isn't really their name. I've told you once before, he's German, and the name is
Trump
actually
from-
Drumpf,
Yeah.
D-R-U-M-P-F, and he changed it to Trump. And so, he has brought in and undermined how we had somewhat collectively come together as a country and as a world.
Right.
Now there's a dichotomy that's been created that other countries find us a joke. I have girlfriends in
Well-
Australia right now.
Yes.
We're laughing stock.
Yes.
Everything he
Yes.
says is a joke. Everything he tweets is ridiculous.
So now we're getting ready for elections,
Yes.
and so you mentioned the majority of brown people and other nationalities represented in the United States. What is that balancing act that our Savior has put in place to ensure that the right candidate is elected, in spite of us?
Well, you know, it's my opinion that none of the
The electoral.
the
Electoral College.
That's it. I was just going to say,
Yeah, the electoral college.
And anytime the actual vote of the people to get out of their homes and go register and go vote in long lines and to have that dismissed, have millions of people's vote dismissed by 538 electoral votes and put this man in the office, I clearly say he was selected. I do not believe he was elected.
Absolutely. And the fact that we have long lines, the fact that it's an issue to try and go out and vote every single time there's an election, whether the machines are down, corruption at the polls with people, pushing toward, you need this ID. Well, no, now you need this type of ID. Now you do. That is even more.
It's so intense.
More evidence that they're scared.
Right.
They're afraid.
Yeah.
Well, after Obama was elected into the office, the gun sales went up tremendously. I mean, for real. I mean,
they're like, oh no.
Because they're at that point they felt like we're losing this country, and this is why I think Trump's tagline for his campaign was "Make America Great Again."
Well,
that's when you guys thought it was great. At what point did that work for us? And I think that was a time when they owned us, or they felt like he even says here that he felt like black people they're not worthy of even working and living in his buildings that he builds. And also, he started the political career.
Wow, Django and Chain, they had to burn the furniture and the bed and everything.
Because we were in it, all of that,
Wow.
Okay,
so
we're good enough to build his golf courses and his
build
hotels
the White House
and his
and working
all
on
his real estate businesses.
When he used to come through here,
his
he
role
had those
as
before.
savior demands that he take care of us like that. Y'all need to recognize exactly what's going on.
So this political career began in advocacy of birtherism. Now you're familiar with this one. The modern recasting of the old American precept that black people are not fit to be citizens of the country that they built. How dare you?
Right.
But long before birtherism, Trump had made his worldview clear. He fought to keep blacks out of his buildings, according to the United States government, called for the death penalty for the eventually exonerated Central Park Five, and rallied against lazy black employees. Now, black guys counting my money, I hate that, is what he says. And Trump was once quoted as saying, the only kind of people I want counting my money are short guys that wear yarmulkes. So, he has no love for black, brown.
But that wasn't an offensive comment. I
know,
could sit there and say, well, come on, let's go to this auction. Let me see if I can Jew him down. Oh, all of a sudden, oh my God, how dare you say that? Alone with the show, when we titled the show, we got feedback about that. Oh, that's a racial slur. I believe that you need to change the title for what?
We didn't change it.
Nobody changes anything when they say the N-word.
Y'all didn't have a problem.
I'm not an N-word.
You have no problem calling my people spics. You
no
didn't change
problem.
anything about that. You have no problem calling us beaners. You have no problem calling us wetbacks.
Right.
So why should I have an issue with titling something white bread?
Yeah. Right.
It's not like I'm walking around calling you a cracker.
I lived in Nebraska when Johnny Rogers played for Nebraska Cornhuskers. And the number of coon jokes that I heard while I was there in Nebraska. And my innocent self, being in elementary school, I went home and told a great coon joke. And I learned quickly what coon and the other words meant. That was my miseducation. And shortly thereafter, we moved to Washington, D.C.
Where's Chocolate City there?
To the dark continent. And I knew Archie. I knew Scooby-Doo. I knew, but then I go to D.C. and then somebody tells me, man, you heard the newest Earth, Wind & Fire album. And I asked, who's Earth, Wind & Fire? They said, no, bro, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sad.
Isn't that something else?
It was sad. It was sad.
Washington, D.C., Chocolate City.
Yes.
The White House sits right in the middle of it.
Chocolate City. That's the first thing you would say.
What is the White House surrounded by?
Yes.
But we're the weaker link.
Yes.
Well, that's always been the way they have presented us, that we were not. I really think that, and I guess nobody can really consider themselves better than, but I just don't think that they are. Yeah, I guess we can.
Scientifically, and there's a lot of.
Science is not infallible. I mean, science is not.
That's correct, but the basis of even when we have discussions around climate change in the scientific community as it correlates to that. So all of these theories There are theories that support evolution. It's taught in schools.
Oh, and that's not. I don't believe in creation. I don't believe in
No.
evolution.
And even that, is it
What's
really?
taught in
Is it really
schools?
what it is though? Is Darwinism? Is evolution really what it is, or did they tailor it so that way they
I
are
think they
superior?
programmed it.
Because
Yeah,
again, if
right.
you are the superior race, if
Yeah.
it's scientifically proven that
Yeah.
you're
You don't
superior,
have to-
Yeah.
why are you outnumbered?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have a
Why
common,
why are
Yeah.
your suicide rates off the charts?
Exactly.
Because we have
Because you're weak.
contaminated the pool.
Because you are weak-minded.
Brown people.
Yes.
Right.
Brown people have messed up the
The
scales.
balance.
The balance of if we would stay in our compliant role, stay in our role of being saved by our missionaries, then everything will be balanced
It's
again.
just that we decided to.
Why do we need to make $15 an hour to be above the
'Cause you don't
poverty
need to-
level?
you don't need to take
When
care of
I'm
your
giving
family.
you everything you need, I give you shelter, I give you food, I give you food stamps, I give you a place to go to educate your
Programs.
kids.
and some filthy water. Look at this
Mm.
comment by Anthony Moorhead. Thank you for checking in. The Spanish were the biggest European colonizers in history. They invaded Mexico too.
Yep.
So who exactly is the white man in America? He asks.
And
Thank-
those Spaniards, who was it? Anthony. Those
Yeah.
Spaniards were blonde, blue eyes, baby.
Yeah, they're European.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And they really get insulted if you mistake them and think that they're Mexican.
Oh no, they're highly
I've been to
insulted.
Spain. Trust me, they're blonde, like you said, blue eyes, and will get
Mexicans
offended.
get offended. If you're
They
from
get-
the capital, if you're from Mexico City, El DF, how
Yeah,
dare
they
you
do.
think I'm from the mountains?
Mm.
How dare you think I come from this city? I'm from the capital. I'm from El Distrito Federal. Even them alone are snobby and everything else.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and we've talked about colorism.
Yes, we have.
We
On
within
a
our
couple of
own.
occasions.
But
We're gonna
but
do
even that,
fair,
yeah.
we're gonna do the light,
Yeah.
all that, dark.
We've done. Oh yeah.
All of it.
Wow,
You know,
yes.
this isn't our. I mean, we've brought
Yes, no, I
good
yes,
shows
yes.
to the audience, and kind of hope that they would pay attention because again, did you run the thing, please, for Ricky Smiley? That basically, we're missing the boat. A lot's getting ready to go on. If Trump doesn't get in, it could really turn into something, a real, bloodbath actually. Because again, they're fearful,
scary
and they're
times.
angry.
Right.
And so when you have, and they're scared of black people and Latinos, that's a crazy bunch. You get all of us together, that's crazy. So with that,
It's
they
loud.
feel, yeah,
I know that's loud.
loud.
they feel
And
compelled.
you know they say Puerto Ricans are crazy anyway,
But they
so
feel
we really
compelled.
got the crazy
But
over
they
there.
feel compelled to whip out their guns and
mow us down.
come down, right?
Melanie Clark is watching. Thank you, Cookie Wali. Thank you for checking in with us.
White supremacy. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I need to go to break.
No.
No,
All I saw was a waving. Okay, yeah, no.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hey,
Our engineer. Yeah, our engineer was greeting us.
yes.
Oh,
Hey.
sorry. Missed that one.
Greetings.
Yes, and for those who are commenting, thank you everyone. Like Sophie said, for tuning in. I'm for whatever reason can't pull up my comments right
You
now.
can't?
So no, not on our page, but I'm sure Sophie's able to pull up some comments on there. So give us a call here at the studio. Let us know what your opinions are, your thoughts. If you completely disagree, we definitely want to hear from you. 713-789-0096. Thank you everyone who's been following along on our Facebook feeds with Silky's guests and of course with OMG's guests on her page. So we'd love to hear from everybody.
Absolutely.
That's right.
What do you guys think about, the birtherism thing that came up when Trump initiated all of this with Obama?
Mm-hmm.
And he even offered someone $5 million for Obama's transcripts because he did not believe that Obama was educated enough to have gone to an Ivy League school and all this other stuff.
And where did he go?
Now, conversely,
Does
now
it matter where he went?
conversely,
It's not like
to
he
a
earned
military-
it.
He went to a military school, but he had he said that he
The
was an
saviors.
honor student, but that his
Whatever.
grades and everything have been sealed. There's no way
No
if
way.
you can't spell, you're an honor
He's
student.
not.
You
He
can't
is
even
not
read.
articulate.
He's not articulate.
He's really, 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 really very important. He's really, really, really a good guy. If you
Yeah.
listen to him, that's all he
That's
ever
all he
says.
says.
Right.
Oh, it's very, very, very serious.
And the other thing was
These are
And
very
those are not
serious.
scholarly words.
No,
not at all.
Really,
He made a
no.
comment.
Like I always tell the students I work with, avoid those words. So
When
his
he
vocabulary
repeats
is
those
limited.
words, those are zeros.
There's
Absolutely
zero.
right.
Yeah, I
Those are
definitely.
zeros.
He'd get,
Money and zero as far as content.
That's it.
Right.
He is just outrageous, and just the fact that he believes that. But he has a real wild hair behind Obama, and
Right.
so
he just, that
he
was more
wants
than
his
could stand.
intentions, guys. And I guarantee you, if he does not get in, we will be reeling from some of his executive orders that have been signed
Right.
that contains
So
information.
are you trying to, are we having a prophetic word of a military coup?
Yeah. Militia, vigilante. That's what that is. That's coup d'état. That's what that is.
So one of, that's one of the challenges of any whether it's black supremacy, that we're going to become the dominant and punish you for the years that we have been under your
Right.
servitude, and your savior missionary role. And so then that's where that fear factor comes in. But because of our greatness as brown people,
Absolutely.
we do nothing but build and support.
That's what we're known to. Take us to break. I think we gotta go to break.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
time to go to break. Remember, thank y'all for joining in. Make sure you call in, send in your comments. We're going to break now.
I was trying to tell you about the video.
You need to get more
Video
excited
kept
about
wanting
this.
to play. I had it up.
I need to get more
Well,
excited.
come on, you gotta
about
raise
this.
this up.
Oh,
We
I'm
need you to raise
playing
it. I tell you, I'm
it.
already there.
Stop it.
No, I'm being
No.
sarcastic.
I didn't put it up there this time because
I'm being sarcastic.
Also, when we come back, we have to play it.
No, I'm playing it
No,
now.
it's playing now. So when we come back in,
God has been good, and
so they can't hear
God
us.
is good
They can hear
all
me.
the time.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
And,
They can't hear y'all. Well, they can, but not
like,
me.
that's all I would like for everybody to do something kind for somebody or give to somebody who don't have. But one of the things I want to talk to y'all about is, I don't know if y'all saw the special on CNN last night. I think it was last night. Yeah, it was last night. On white nationalism and white supremacy is real. And I'm not trying to ruin anybody's day. I'm not trying to make anybody feel, whatever. If your pastor at your church is not preparing you for white supremacy or white nationalism, or not speaking out against it, or preparing you for it, you might be at the wrong church. I'm not even just gonna put it on the pastor at your radio station.
Huh.
I know I talk about it on my
We've
morning
done
show. And Lennon Creek and Jeff Johnson and I, we find ways to tell everybody, to make people aware of what's going on around them. We can't entertain ourselves to the point where we don't know what's going on around us. I know everybody want to go to Funk Fest and the Maggie City Classic and Essence Festival and have a
You are listening to The Bridge. Share your opinion by calling 713-789-0096. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm your host, OMG, along with my co-host.
So you send it to via email? No, but you sent that to us also, didn't you?
Yes, I sent you via messenger.
Okay.
Hello.
The guys,
I'm asking
yeah, this particular video, we're gonna have it on our Facebook page.
Wait a minute.
But he's basically telling you that what you're not being told on your radio stations, and from the pastor's pulpit. And he was getting ready to say before we cut it off is that we'll be entertained somewhere. We'll be somewhere twerking and dancing and like he said, at the ball games and all this other stuff. When this really comes down, we have no clue of how serious about what we're about to head into if this man loses.
So you're saying we'll be
Scary time.
dancing and twerking at church or at?
No. Well, they do that
Would
too.
they do that?
They
I'm
do that
just-
too. They absolutely do. You know,
But you know what they've done,
We're
right?
too
You
entertained.
understand what that is.
Okay,
It's
we're coming
the
back
monkey
in.
show.
It's
It's the monkey
programming.
dance.
It's
We're coming
it's
back
puppeteering.
with the caller.
okay. So we do. What do we have? We have a call on the line, right?
Welcome back, everyone. Caller.
Hello, Paul, are you there?
I'm here.
Yes, your comment?
Hey, hi.
Welcome to the All About You show.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome to the All About You show.
Alright, this is Papa Doc. How y'all doing?
Hello,
Hey,
Papa
Papa
Doc.
He's a friend of the show.
Wow,
Yes.
finally.
Do you know Papa Doc?
I've heard the name. I'm honored that I'm on the show with Papa Doc.
Papa
Pop,
Doc is our boy.
tell us what you're talking about, Pop.
Alright, so here is my stance on the whole thing. Y'all ready?
Yes.
This is my sticky out just a little bit. So, as far as the whole white bread, versus everything else, you got a white egg, you got a brown egg, you crack them both, you just got an egg. So, to me, it's not about so much the color part, because I think once you do the whole color part, it's just feeding in and adding to the whole racism part. Like, for one, I can't stand being called African American. And here's the reason why. Yes, I am a black man.
Right.
However, I was born in America. That just helps. Added with the whole labeling and everything else. If you were born in Mexico, you come to America, you're Mexican American. If you were born in Africa, you live now in America, you're African American. But if you're black, white, Mexican, Chinese, whatever, and you were born in America, you're American.
That's it.
Period. When you
Absolutely.
put those labels behind it, it just keeps adding on to the whole racism part. Why can't we just get rid of the labels? Whether you're black, white, Mexican, don't matter. Are you American? Are you Canadian? Are you Mexican? Are you Italian? Where were you born? And that will stop with the whole racism part of it. Now, well, black people treated wrong? Yes. I'm not denying any of that. But once again, that's the past, and why live in the past, move forward. You can't ever move forward when you're always living in the past. And I think that's the whole reason why we can't get past racism, is because everybody is still living in the past. Oh, white man did this. Oh, blacks did this. Or Mexicans did this. No. Okay, that's the past. Move forward. We can't ever move forward when we're constantly looking back. Get rid of all the labels, and we can just move forward in our lives. And that's just my outlook on the whole thing.
Well, we appreciate your
I love what y'all are doing. You know that. That's why I'm listening.
Thank you, sir.
But that's just my perspective on that entire topic.
And we appreciate that. Thank you, Papa Doc. That was our
Thank you
pleasure.
so much for tuning
Thank
But
in.
you know,
Papa
again,
Doc.
I guess you can look at it two ways. It's no different than when we do shows on Black History Month in February. We had somebody, a younger person, call in once. We were doing a show and wanted to know why were we still talking about the same old stuff. Old stuff is your history. Old stuff is how you get some direction about the new stuff. So
Right,
to
it helps
me,
you
if
to
you don't,
understand
again,
where you are and
if you don't,
why things
if
are
you
the
don't
way they
know
are.
the reason they are the way they are, then it'll be repeated and you'll just be,
Right. I had
Consumed by it, really,
Right.
because you don't know what hit
you
you,
don't know because you don't know what it is.
you don't know the
what-
history. So
Right.
yet we do have to remember our history.
And we do
There's
have to
nothing
move
wrong with
forward,
that.
so I understand
and
what
I
he's
understand
saying.
the move
Right.
forward part, but
Yes.
certain people, the powers that be, don't want
They
us
don't-
to move
see,
forward.
it's
We're
all
having
about
to fight to
programming.
move forward.
Right. What were you gonna
Right. Well, I was gonna say I actually had a good friend of ours ask me one time, would you rather know your history or would you rather know your future? And he said, no matter what you answer, what his response is going to be is, you cannot know your future unless you know your
You gotta
history.
know where you come from so you know where you're going.
Right.
And
You know?
like everything continues to repeat itself. It always cycles.
But then our history's been a lie. I've always maintained that.
Let me draw this analogy. I ran track in college, and so the level of film study and study of previous triple jumpers, so that I can acquire the skill, technique, and understanding of the mechanics of the sport, required that I study those that came before me,
you, which is your history. Right.
and then it gave me confidence to understand what I needed to do both in practice, preparation, and in the event competition
I was gonna say
to be successful.
In order to be able to compete adequately, you have to know What record are you trying
You
to
have
beat?
to- you
what
have
are you
to
trying
know.
to beat? What are you
You
doing?
need to know on whose
There has to be a
shoulders you
standard of
stand.
measurement.
Yes, you do.
And that you know that you have a foundational example that somebody did that already. Before people were dunking and doing 360s, you were doing layups.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started throwing the basketball off the backboard and dunking it. Then you started jumping over cars and dunking it. Then you started raising the goal to 11 feet and dunking, because it evolves.
And it gets
Because I know now that I can do certain drills, do certain things technically. I see exactly where he jumped off the floor, that I can jump
I can
higher
do
than
this.
that now.
Right. So you got to kind of know.
So your history is essential for you to have a future. If you don't know where you came from, how can you move forward?
Absolutely. And let's talk about something else real quick. We've got about 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
And I did want to talk about how white supremacy has played a role. I read an article, I think it's
Oh,
called...
can I say one thing
Yes,
real quick?
absolutely you can.
To Papa Doc, much love, glad you're on. The one thing that we cannot get beyond is the fact that, yes, when you break a brown egg and you break a white egg, it's yellow on the inside. You get organ donation, blood transfusion. Nobody wonders, where did that blood or organ come from?
Nope, not at all.
Is it
Especially
black,
when their
white,
life is
Latino,
on, right?
what?
Yeah.
Blood, thank you. So, yes, but on the outside, I happen to have a brown shell. I cannot erase
They're
that,
actually the better
change it.
eggs.
I cannot erase it, change it, or deny that factor.
They're more
So,
nutritious.
yes, white supremacy and race, they're inherent because we have visual application of a difference.
We do. And speaking of food group, when I said when we call the show White Bread, I told you there's an article, is today in Hood Health. And they're talking about when white people came in contact with foods, they were obsessed with cleaning foods. So white supremacy has even crossed over into our foods. White bread is the least healthy of any bread you could eat.
Right.
So what they did, they bleached it, made it white. Then they have to come back and realize, oh, all the nutrients are gone. So now we've got to enrich the bread. When it was mostly enriched when it was brown. Things come to you brown, a lot of things. Sugar,
Raw sugar is brown. people.
wheat,
Right.
pasta,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of
And
things.
anyone who's been around poultry, when those eggs come out, a fresh warm egg, what color is it?
They're brown, or
Brown.
sometimes they're different. Those country
Speckled,
eggs, they
yes,
come out-
absolutely.
I've seen them,
And they're
pink and different
delicious.
colors. Yeah.
And when they come out in their natural source, if you went
They
to break it open, that
unprocessed,
yolk,
yeah.
the yolk, which
It's
is the
dark,
nutrients,
it's
Yes.
dark yellow.
It's huge.
It's dark.
Deep
It's
yellow.
huge. It's a deep yellow.
Yes.
Yeah, it's deep.
You know,
yeah.
so they've even, infiltrated the food, chain as to how we look at refined foods and that sort of thing. They make us think that white foods are the best foods for us. They are
So
not.
the black jelly bean is all a conspiracy.
Okay, everybody threw those away. A lot of people.
Ugh,
The most
they're
toxic
Until I
flavor
taste
in
it,
the
I'm like,
bag.
yeah, now.
That's
I
Most
like the black
toxic
jelly.
flavor in the bag.
Really,
but the white jelly bean is
I like the
the
black
sweetest one.
one.
I love the black ones.
After I tasted them, I said, why are people throwing these away?
I've seen many
So
people
now
throw
you
it
throw
away.
away
I'm
and
not
I'll
gonna throw out the
take
ones.
I do not like the
Right.
flavor of licorice.
I'm
I don't
telling
care
you.
what color it comes in. And for you Colombians who drink aguardientes, that's disgusting. It is licorice.
What
That
is
is
it?
licorice.
And
It's licorice, but
That's
she
it's
fair.
doesn't
their
like the
liquor.
flavor. She doesn't
That
like
is.
anisette.
Well,
Yes.
what is Jägermeister? The Jägermeister.
It's licorice.
It's licorice.
disgusting.
Yes.
Right.
Anisette.
Gross.
That's the
Yes.
flavor. Anisette. She doesn't like anisette.
I don't like
Not
it either.
in that form. I've had it, but not
And
that much.
That's great how we segue to alcohol right before we go
Yeah,
off.
right.
Yeah, really quickly, we didn't get to read this comment from our own Joy Jackson. She says, for those who still do not agree that America has the quote unquote savior syndrome, what is manifest destiny? And for those of you on our Facebook feed, follow the link and you will be able to see that quick definition.
That is
Right.
beautiful. Great comment.
Thank you for that, Julie. So,
so,
do we have to go in?
what would the manners maven say about white supremacy? She would even teach them to be polite, even in their
Yes.
even in their corrupt ideology.
Yes,
She
because
would, yeah, because in everything there is an etiquette.
everything has an etiquette.
Everything,
And
everything has-
psychology.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Today's show was brought to you by Image. I make a great employee, executive, entrepreneur, professional etiquette training seminars where life skills meet social graces. For more information, visit www.yourbizimage.com. That's www.yourbizzimage.com for more information.
And next week, guys, I think we're going to probably talk about the etiquette book. because
Yes.
that is timely. We have a president who has lowered the bar for being kind, being
Way
polite,
low.
being gracious, and
He's
just caring about people. So
An
we can
egregious
talk about that.
underachiever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
thank you again, everyone who's followed along on our Facebook feed. And don't forget, just because the show ends does not mean that conversation ends. You can still send us your information, your thoughts, your opinions on our Facebook page, OMG and Friends, on our Twitter, All About You Show. And of course, you're always welcome to view past shows on our website at www.allaboutyouShow.info. That's all about you, the letter U, show.info.
And until next week, guys, stay healthy, stay dry. Hopefully, no more rains coming.
Oh, I know.
And we will
No
see
more
you
rain.
on the radio.
That's right.
Anything told you?
You like this song?
Oh, yeah.